Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum students. Today I am going to deliver my lecture on the chapter number 7. And in the chapter number 7, we have to discuss the languages. First, I discuss the Pashto language. What is the Pashto language? What is the historical background of the Pashto language? Pashto language started from the Afghanistan. That the Pashto language is the language of the Pashtun, and it is started in the Bakhtar area, the area of the Afghanistan. And the valiant Pashtuns lived in the Afghanistan, northwestern part of the Pakistan. So there is the background of the Pashto language. Pashto language started the 5,000 years back in the Afghan area, the Bakhtar. This is the origin of the Pashto language. That the Pashto language is the language of the Afghani people in the Afghanistan. When these people moved and migrated from the, mostly the people migrated from the Afghanistan into the Peshawar and the tribal areas of the Pakistan. So in the Peshawar, the tribal areas, that the Pashto is the language of these people. There is the great influence of the Pashto language in the tribal areas as well as in the Peshawar. What is the script of the Pashto language? Pashto language, that it is that there is the Karoshiti. A name is given to the script of the Pashto language, is the Karoshiti script. And there are the different writers and the poets of the Pashto language. That there is the Saifullah. Saifullah have a great contribution in the Pashto language, that he devised a script, wrote a book, Tazkiratul Awliya, जिसमें औलिया इकराम का तस्करा किया गया है. That we have to, in the Pashto language, we have to discuss the religious script and the literary work which is done by the different writers in the Pashto language. The mostly we found the religious literature of the different writers in the Pashto language. In the Pashto language, alphabets are 43 in number. Although the Pashto language was influenced by many foreign languages like the Turkish, Pali, and the Sanskrit, but these influences did not make any substantial change in its basically Islamic character. And although there is a influence of the Hindu culture or the different Hindu civilization, like the Hindu philosophy, like the mythology, that there is an influence of the Hindu philosophy, mythology and the other languages, but the Pashto language is not influenced by the Hindu philosophy, mythology. Although there are the influence of the different language in the Pashto, but it did not change its Islamic character. We have to find out the Islamic character of the Pashto language. What is the Pashto literature? There is the ancient Pashto written book Patah-Khazana, and in the Patah-Khazana, that is the stock of the Pashto language, literature, prose, poetry, and the different writings. Now we have to discuss the different phases of the Pashto language. There are the different phases of the Pashto language. We start from 8th to 15th century. In the 8th and the 8th to 15th century, there are the prominent poets like the Amir Khuram. There is the great contribution of the Amir Khuram in the Pashto language. And in the Pashto language, there are the Qasidas of the Ghiyasuddin Balban and the Sher Shah Suri. And the first Pashto poet, Amir Khuram, composed his poetry. And so he told about the Qasidas of Ghiyasuddin Balban, that there is the second phase of the Pashto language, which started from 16th to 17th century AD. Renowned Pashto writer Akhund Daroza, Hushalan Khatak and the Rehman Baba have a great contribution in the Pashto language, in the prose and in the poetry especially. Then the third phase, which started from 17th century to 18th century. In the third phase, during this period, and the famous religious scholar and the Mia Umar and the writers like the Mullah Abdul Rashid, Sadat Khan and the Qasim Ali Afridi are especially notable, that they have the great contribution in the religious and the religious literature. Then there is the fourth phase that the Pashto literature produced during this period is dominated by the anti-imperialist sentiments, and that there is the love of freedom and the expression of discontentment, and the revolt against the expressive foreign rule, because the Pashto language is not affected and by the foreign culture and the civilization. There are always the freedom-loving poets in the Pashto language, and these poets produced very effective national literature and the poetry during the Indo-Pak War of 1965. There is a great influence of their poetry in the Indo-Pak War. There are the different dialects in the Pashto language. These dialects are dialects that the Labo Lehje. कि Pashto के Labo Lehje कौन से? Pashto has three major dialects, are the accent northeastern dialect and the southwestern dialect and the dialects of the Z tribes. Pashto language is why there are the different dialects of the Pashto language, because the dialects of Pashto language is different from area to area, and that there is a change in the dialects of the Pashto language according to the custom and tradition of the people and the forms in the classical poetry. Now we have to discuss the forms and the classical poetry of the Pashto language. Tappa is the oldest Pashto poetic forms. In the Tappa and in the Charbiti and the Tobe, these are the forms of their classical poetry, and the Badle and the Nimkai. In these, that in the classical poetry of the Pashto language, that they describe, that the poets of the Pashto language describe their custom and tradition according to their tradition, according to their way of living, according to their different custom and tradition of their areas, that they presented their classical poetry. So the Shalan Khatak have a great contribution in the, and the Rehman Baba have a great contribution in the Pashto language, especially in the poetry. After the Pashto language, we have to discuss the Balochi language. Balochi language is the language of the Balochistan. Balochs were divided into clans and the tribes a few centuries back, and at all the characteristics of the pre-Islamic Arab society. Every tribe had its own poet who composed the accounts of the expeditions the valiant young heroes of the tribe had accomplished triumphantly. So in the Pashto, in the Balochi language, Balochs had all the characteristics of the pre-Islamic Arab society. They always presented their qasida in the pride of the valiant young heroes. They always condemned their enemies in their poems called like Hajwe or the Hajwai, in which they condemned their enemies. या इसमें हजवायत में कि उन्होंने अपने दुश्मनों की मजम्मत की है और कसीदा में यंग हीरोज की तारीफें बयान की है. That the Baloch did not know the art of the writing and they had no script. The poetry so created was not in written form. With the passage of time, that they have forgotten all their poetry and the prose. Most of the literature created in that period falls in the category of the epic poetry. What is epic poetry? That the Balochi poetry divided into four kinds. Number one, epics related to war. In the at the time of the war, they always provoked they provoked that the army that they provoked always their warrior through the epic poetry. एपिक पोइट्री में के रज़मिया शायरी जिसमें वो अपने फ़ौज के लोगों को इश्तिहाल दिया करते थे ताकि दुश्मन के ख़िलाफ़ वो लड़े, और इसमें जो कि पोइट्री शायरी वो बयान करते थे वो आम तौर पर इश्तिहाल देने के लिए होती थी ताकि उनकी फ़ौज के लोग जंग जीत जाए दुश्मन के खिलाफ. Then number second, narratives of the war that took place between the tribes and the poems in the praise of heroes, Qasidas, and condemnation of the enemy, that the Hajwait. Number three, romantic poems, lyrics, ghazals, and the romantic songs. Number four, that the Marsiya and the narratives of the events in poetry, Masnavis. What were the style of the Balochs? Balochs living in the barren and the bare in the barren hills, but they have the fertile and prolific mind. Poetry they produce simple in form but strong in impact. What was the golden period in the history of the Balochi literature? And the golden period it is start in the 19th century, golden age in the history of Balochi literature. Kalhora rulers, great patterns of letters and literature. कल्होड़ा हुक्मरानों का इसमें जिक्र किए जाते 19वीं सदी में कि जो कि एक बलोची अदब पेश किया गया. कल्होड़ा रूलर्स वर ग्रेट पैटर्न्स ऑफ लेटर्स एंड द लिटरेचर, एंड द बलोची लिटरेचर आल्सो बेनिफिटेड फ्रॉम द पर्शियन इम्पैक्ट ड्यूरिंग दिस पीरियड. What were the literary works of the Balochi language? Mir Shakir and the Hamal Rind. Hamal Rind have a great contribution in the dramas of the Balochistan PTV Center for presenting the different dramas. So there the writing of the Hamal Rind were used, and the classical that the Balochi poets, Mir Muhammad Anka, mid-20th century poet, rendered meritorious services for the cause of Pakistan. So that there is the contribution of the different writers, different poems in the Balochi language, especially in the 19th century. What was that the script? Now we have to discuss the script of the Balochi language, history of the Balochi script based on the Arabic letters. After the creation of Pakistan, standard Balochi script were presented. Now there is the exercise of the chapter number 7. Only the answer is given for the each question. So in the fill in the blanks, only the statement is that for the statement only the that the answers are given for the fill in the blanks. So the answer number 1 is the Allama Iqbal, number 2 Punjabi, number 3 1800, number 4 1837, number 5 Baba Fariduddin Ganj Shakar, number 6 Sindhi, number 7 Pashto, number 8 Pashto, number 9 Mir Ghulam Muhammad Natiq Makrani, the number 10 43. Part number 2 of the fill in the blanks answers are number 1 Sindhi, 2nd Persian, number 3 Sabras, number 4 17 5 2, number 5 Sindhi, number 6 Saifullah, number 7 360, number 8 Balochi, number 9 Hafiz Barkhurdar, number 10 Sati. true and false answers. Number 1 true, second true, number 3 true, number 4 false, number 5 true. Put right parts together, the column A and B, only answers are given. Number 1 Arabic script, number 2 Abdul Latif Bitai, number 3 400 books, number 4 Balochi scholar, number 5 Pashto. There are the short question and answers. Number 1, the Qaid-e-Azam point of view, what was the Qaid-e-Azam point of view regarding Pakistan national language? Answer is given on the page number 132. Answer is started from that the Qaid-e-Azam had made it clear to and no other language. Question that the answer of the short question number 1, that after listening the slide, after listening the lecture on the slides, that you have to underline the answer of the short question, the page number, mentioned page number. And the answer of the question number 1, short question number 1 is, the Qaid-e-Azam had made it clear in very early days after independence, but let me make it very clear to you that the state language of the Pakistan is going to be Urdu and no other language. Question number 2, when and where Urdu came into being? And the answer is on the page number 133. Origin of the Urdu language can be traced to the advent of the Islam in the subcontinent. Muslim conquerors from the west and northwest started pouring in. The soldiers in these armies spoke Arabic, Persian, and the Turkish language. These mixed languages formed raw material for the language, which later came to be known as Urdu. Number 3. That the question number 3, give the names of some of the most important 20th century Urdu poets and prose writers. On the page number 134 to 135. And the answer is, most important Urdu poets and the prose writers in the 20th century, religious scholars like the Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, Maulana Ashraf Ali Thanvi, and Maulana Abul Ala Maududi produced rich religious literature in Urdu and introduced new trends in prose writing. Poets like the Iqbal and the Akbar composed excellent purposeful poetry and used their pen for national regeneration. Then the question number 4. Question number 4 is, what are the main literary forms used in Punjabi poetry? And the answer is given on the page number 136. Punjabi poetry, answer is, Punjabi poetry is comparable to the best of the poetic works. Traditional Punjabi poets expressed themselves through the medium of nazm or the forms and the closely identical to it. These are Kafi, War, Tappa, Dola, Doha, Sati, and the Ghazal was introduced at a comparatively later stage, probably under Urdu influence. And the question number 5. Question number 5, give the names of the 5 important Punjabi poets. Answer is given. That the answer is given in the, according to question number 5, answer is given in the slides. Number 1, on the page number 136, number 1, and the Punjabi poets, number 1, Madhulal Hussain, second Sultan Bahu, number 3, Bulle Shah, number 4, Waris Shah, number 5, Khaja Free. This is the complete answer of the question number 5. Now the question number 6. Question number 6, enlist important Sindhi dialects. On the page number 137, 138. Dialects spoken in the Lower Sindh and the Rajasthan are known as Lari, Kachi, and the Kathiawari and the Thari. Similarly, Jugali, Gandavi, Fikri, Lassi, Kechi, and Lori, and the Chenni are the Sindhi dialects used in the different parts of Balochistan. The number 7. Short question number 7. What do you know about the golden age of the Balochi literature? The answer is given on the page number 140. And the answer of the question, long question number 7 is 19th century deserves to the 19th century deserves to be called the golden age in the history of the Balochi literature. Kalhora rurals were great patterns of letters and literature. Balochi literature also benefited from this, and the Persian impact during this period further intensified. Mirza Ghulam Muhammad Natik Makrani is the most eminent poet of this age. This is all about the short question and answer. Now we have to discuss the long question. Question number 1. And the question number 1 is, what role languages play regarding cultural integration and the development of the human relationship? Answer is given on the page number 131 to 132. And the answer is started from, culture is defined as the sum total of the two nations. And the question number 2, why Urdu can be the only national language of Pakistan enlists salient characteristic features of Urdu language. And the answer is on the page number 132, 133. Urdu has a very close resemblance to it really deserves. Question number 3. Question number 3, that the given account of the stages through which Urdu passed during the process of its formation. On the page number 133, 134, 135. Answer is started from how and when Urdu took shape to solidly together and function. Question number 4, write a note on the Punjabi. And the answer is given on the page number 135, 136. Punjabi. Answer is Punjabi is an ancient language to Mirza Sahiba Hafiz Barkhurdar. Number 5, long question. Number 5, what do you know about the script and literary works of the Sindhi language? Answer is on the page number 136, 137. Script, Professor Max Muller, 2 Acids in Modern Forms. Then the question number 6, write a note. And the question number 6, write a note on the Pashto language, literature and the poetry at the page number 138, 139. Answer is about the Pashto language and the literature and the poetry. Pashto language is started from, Pashto is the language of the valiant Pakhtuns, to be known as Pashto. Number 2, literature, like most of the languages. 2, especially poetry. Number 3, poetry. Tapai is the oldest leading Pashto poets. And the question number 7, write a note on the Balochi poetry. Answer is on the page number 139 to 140. Answer is Balochs were divided into clans. 2, the script already in use. That's all about my lecture. I hope you will follow my lecture and underline all the short question as well as the long question. Take care of yourself. Thank you.